Hey, what's going on, cousins and kin folks? You're welcome tuned in to another episode of the Porch Perspectives. You hear this voice, you hear me every week. It's your boy Eddie Cool, the host, and also joining me is my lovely co-host, the ever so lovely one herself, Miss Nikki Red.
What up, what up, what up?
Yep, Miss Nikki Red. And what's that you got on? Is that a Porch Perspectives hoodie? Is that what I think?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's official. It's official. We got them in. They are in. So yeah, we got them in.
we done messed around and got some darn merchandise. So more merchandise coming soon. I'm still waiting on mine. I feel like Chad Ochocinco when Shannon Sharp be getting the awards. I'm like, where mine at? Where mine at?
Well, I can tell you this much. I've been tracking everything, and I literally asked the question last night. I'm like, how many times do we got to go through customs to get to customs to get through customs?
Oh boy, yeah, it shouldn't.
Because that's what is going on. They landed and had to go through customs, but before they left, they went through customs. So I'm assuming it's one more customs stop before we get the custom package.
It's probably on the conveyor belt that's going back and forth. Send it, don't send it. Send it, don't send it. You know how things are nowadays.
I get you. Okay.
All
So
right,
we
so
still
let
wait.
Yeah, so let's not get too carried away. That's right. Porch Perspectives merch coming soon. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify, and don't forget to check us out on WDRBmedia.com, the voice of the community. With that being said, I'm not going to gallylag and lallygag and stall no more. We have a very special guest joining us on this episode. He is joining us right now is comedian, entrepreneur, husband, father. He's also performed for numerous organizations. He's also the host and founder of Night Bright and Bright Entertainment. Cousins and kin folks, please welcome to the porch, Mr. Sterling Thrill.
Man, thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, friends. I appreciate it. Y'all got
Sterling,
some lemonade on this porch?
let's eliminate on
I
this
got,
porch.
I got out here.
We typically do sweet tea, but you know what? Today I'm doing fruit punch today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done some sparkling water. I would say the name of the company, but they're not cutting checks, so you know.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't show
You
the
don't
whole
drop.
name then.
Yeah, yeah. I like that brand too. That's another brand. We'll have a whole conversation about sparkling water a whole nother day. Sterling, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us, man. How you feeling?
Man, I feel all right, man. I appreciate it, dude. I'm excited that you wanted me on. I was like, Eddie, when Eddie called you, I mean, goodness, I feel like it's already a podcast. I feel like you're just a walking podcast. I feel like if Eddie called, like it's already being recorded. I feel like that should just come anytime you call somebody, you should just start saying this is being recorded. Like you would know it's going to be used for some broadcast somewhere. This is broadcast extraordinaire right here. This is like Steve Harvey without the paycheck. You got the hair, but you ain't got no money yet. But
Yeah, minus
Wow.
the and minus the mustache
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
and the laugh and everything.
I'm
So
done with y'all.
yeah, this ain't nothing to do, man. This is what Sterling do, man. He does it all the time, man. And the best thing about it is, I'm a good sport, man. I don't take it personal. With that being said, Sterling, for those out there listening that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
man, I've known you since high school, I guess, middle
Yep.
school, high school, something.
Yeah, middle school, high school, yeah, somewhere along there, yeah, somewhere along
And we went to the same school. And then Nikki went with us for a little bit. We was all,
A little
which is
second.
good. Just a second. Um, but yeah, man, I connected with you over wrestling. I used to be a bigger wrestling fan than I am now. I think you held on to it. You still with it.
Yeah.
Nikki, what about you? Are you a wrestling fan?
I'll be honest with you. He's shaking his head no already. Let me get in on this. I mean a little bit, I put it like this. I remember when The Rock came out. I was a Rocky
Mm-hmm.
fan. And China and you remember
Yes.
Rakishi?
Rikishi, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the era that I was watching. And then, John Cena. And then of course, I have so much infatuation with so many of these superstars. But my OMG moment with wrestling was RKO. I mean, it's something about that
Yeah.
Viper. I'm just saying that, and so I'm like, that's it. I ain't saying nothing else. That's gonna get me in
Out of
trouble. I'm
nowhere.
incriminating myself.
She talk about the
Unless
one D
man,
only.
look, unless he trying to come on the porch with us, I don't know. We might,
I'm just saying, I have to talk to somebody that knows somebody that kind of knows somebody that front like they know somebody and try to get him on the podcast.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Me and Eddie met some wrestlers before. I met a lot of them. I met Randy Orton before, though. He was a little rude to us, to be honest. But I mean, he probably just having a rough night. I mean, I don't judge people when you meet them and they're like celebrities. I met a ton of celebrities through just being, tenacious, and also like in entertainment, you rub shoulders sometimes with big people.
Mhm.
But I met a ton of them, and I don't judge them off of one interaction because, like, you know, when you're a celebrity and you have a one-off with somebody, I mean, you might just been having a bad day, but for that person, forever in their mind, you are like, you're a terrible person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Randy was rude to us, man. I had my little friend over there, and they had just finished the SmackDown. We was in Florence, South Carolina, and him and Rey Mysterio were at a table at this IHOP we was eating at late at night. And I was like, dang, and everybody was over there talking to him, and everybody kind of left, and me and my buddy went up, and we had our little toy belts. We were full-on adults. I just carried this toy belt. I would get autographed. And my boy, he a little, he got some learning disabilities. He my friend. He a little,
socially awkward, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. And, but we had our little belts, and we handed them to each superstar at the booth. And then Randy was telling my friend to move the belt so he could sign the other one, and Rey Mysterio could sign the one he just signed. And my friend wasn't picking it up quick enough. He was just he also was in shock because he'd always seen these guys on TV, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he just didn't know what to do. And then Randy was like, and then picked up the belts and moved them and set them down. He's like, and he was rude to us. I spoke to Rey Mysterio. Ray was in a lot of pain that day. I saw him walking around, dude. He was like he was real rough, but he was sweet to us. He was real cool. He seemed real genuine. Randy, though, bro, he didn't care. He wasn't trying to make an impression, bro. I think he was a heel at the time. Yeah. He was letting you know he was still a heel at that table, but he wasn't even playing. But but I mean, he could be a great guy. He might want to sit on the porch with us. I don't know, but he might need
to come sit on the porch and make it plead his case or something like that. I don't know.
There you go.
I mean, that's the thing about it. Up here in Cleveland, AEW Dynamite came on a Wednesday night, and MJF was here, and and MJF, I think that's him in real life, man. He does not break character rules. Like MJ, what's up, man? Gave us the finger in between these two right here, and I was like, yep, good old MJF. And then somebody said he went to the restaurant where I work at, and they said he was kind of putting it on there too. I was like, yeah, this is probably him 24/7, 365, just being rude and all that. You remember that time in Myrtle Beach we met Jeff Jarrett and R-Truth, and Road Dogg. And you remember R-Truth was smoking that cigarette about as long as a number 2 pencil.
Yeah,
that's back when
I remember we skipped a line to meet him. I didn't realize there was no line. I saw him at the table. I just went right up to him. Hey, and it was like 9 of us. And we took a picture. And I looked, and I was like, oh, there's a whole line of people right here. I didn't pay no attention to the whole line, dude.
You remember his bar goes like $25. Truth was like, no, come on, guys, take a picture. Yeah. So shout out to R-Truth, man. He's I
was just about to say, okay, so we met R-Truth already, right? We've met R-Truth already, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just making sure that's what I was hearing. I'm like, hey, man, time out, pause.
Okay, yeah. We met R-Truth. So speaking of rubbing shoulders with people in the industry, Sterling, there was a point in time where you worked in the radio at a local radio station in South Carolina. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So back in the day, I wanted a job in entertainment so bad. My first actual entertainment job was to be an actor. And I remember thinking that was a dumb title because all it meant was that you worked at this haunted house in the area, and they would call their people that performed, they call them actors. And I was like, man, that's stupid. But then I went and got the same job, and it's because you got to know line that I played a character in front of people. Like I would have to. So I was acting. So that was my first one. But I always wanted to be on the radio. And in Myrtle Beach, we had the ones I liked were like Kiss 98.5 and Mix 97.7. Those are the ones I probably listened to the most. And every now and then they'd have a little contest to try to get somebody on the air and stuff. And I was real close to getting on this kind of a thing they were having at 98.5 at back in the day. Kiss. I don't remember who the DJ was then. Anyway, I was close to getting that. I know I was a little concerned because they didn't have no white DJs at the time. It was the R&B and hip hop station. It was heavy R&B. It was hip hop secondary, I think. But I thought maybe I could try to. I had long hair at the time too. I was like, they're not probably feeling this look, but I'm gonna try to get on with them. And that didn't work out. But probably 5 years later, I got an opportunity with Mix 97.7, which is a pop station in town. And I mean, I got to do that. It was real cool. I got some. We increased booking. We increased our book is what the ratings. The radio is your something about your book or whatever. Every smaller markets you get rated twice a year. Bigger markets is like 4 times a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was on air, I took over the night show, and it was very kind of stale. And I just would interact with people, and we made a good show, and we got to #1 in the town, in the market. And then from that, radio's owned in clusters, so like every little radio station owns usually 4 or 5 radio stations. So then we flipped out. For a while, we had a hip hop station called Q something, Q1079, I think. And it wasn't doing that good because people in the area were just listening to the other one, the Kiss 985. And so they actually flipped Q to a rock station, and they brought back a jock that was real popular back in the day named Mad Max, whatever. So we had Rock 107, and I got to do that too. So I did afternoons on rock for a little while. That was the #1 radio show, but I inherited it. I didn't make it #1. The guy before me made it #1, and then he got moved to somewhere in Florida. And so I took over his show, and then I was doing the night show, and I was there. I was the one that helped, me in the programming and engaging with people. We made that, #1 in that time slot. So I had 2 #1. So for a brief period of time, I had 2 #1 shows in the same market, which isn't, the most common. So that was pretty cool. And got to meet a lot of cool celebrities, musicians and stuff. Briefly, not like I really got to kick it with anybody, but we got to say hey, got to meet Katy Perry, a lot of bands like Shine Down and Panic at the Disco, and I got to meet Jason Derulo when he was coming out. He was brand new, and it was cool. He had this radio promotion, and they didn't tell me about it. I just knew he was coming to Myrtle Beach, and my boss didn't tell me nothing about it. I'm driving down the road, listening to the radio, like probably on the way to work or something. And here Jason Derulo come on. He's like, all right, you can win tickets to my show in Myrtle Beach. Just got to hit up my man Sterling, call him on this line at the time. And I was like, Jason Derulo said my name. Like, I was so excited, but they didn't even tell me they had him record that. Like, I didn't know, And then, but I got to meet it with him. And at the time, I wasn't married yet, but I was with some girl, and his first big hit was what you say?
Oh yeah, that song. Oh, you could what you say? Oh man, that was everywhere.
Yeah, but it was about, I don't know, but it's something about like, the one you with ain't the one you want to be with or something. Yeah. And I was with some other girl, and I met Jason Derulo. I was like, dude, that song's about the, I was doing like nodding my head over there. So if you listen to the podcast, I was nodding my head towards the girl. He was cool, man. We got to meet him for a little bit, and I had a lot of fun times on radio. But one thing that happened was also that they didn't tell me about was we were on so I was a DJ on a pop station. So on the pop stations, only the top of the chart hip hop stuff that's currently popular was being played for hip hop. Right. But occasionally on like an afternoon, like a Friday afternoon, or like in a mix late at night, they'll put on some like, more hip hop you might hear in clubs and stuff. But at the time, it was kind of mostly like, you hear like Drake and stuff, you know what I mean? Like you would hear these kind of like top of pop crossover kind of hip hop artists. You don't hear a lot of, so Yin Yang Twins were coming to town, and they have not had a hit in a lot of years, but they're still Yin Yang Twins, they're still Yin Yang, So they come into town, and I'm into my little booth at the radio station doing my little show. I get a call on our hotline. It's like no one can call it. It's just it's just for us to work, so my boss can call me and stuff like that. Right. It's not what the listeners call in. So it's called the hotline. I get a call. I'm like, hello. I was like, I'm sorry. Hey, yo, this came from the Yin Yang Twin. Hey, this came from the Yin Yang Twin. I'm calling for the interview. And I was like, I'm sorry, what is this? He said, it's Kane from Yin Yang Twins. I'm calling for the interview. And I was like, yeah, give me a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah, just could you, I'll call you right back. I got a caller ID. He's like, oh no, I'll call you. Like he was worried I'd have the number. I'm like, the number is on the deal. Okay, there. Whatever. Yeah. So I was like, all right. So I hung up with him and I called my boss. I was like, who's supposed to interview the Yin Yang Twins? He's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, you're supposed to interview. I was like, I'm supposed to interview the Yin Yang Twins. I'm not ready to interview the damn Yin Yang Twins. I was like, last thing I heard from them was Salt Shaker. That's been so many years ago. Like, what am I supposed to say to the Yin Yang Twins? So
Where y'all been, maybe?
Huh?
Where you been?
Yeah,
What
something
you
like that.
doing?
Well, yeah, but we can't. Like, I can't. Like, I have a job to do. So when you're radio, you got a job. You can't just be like, it's my
Right.
show. I do what I want. You know.
Yeah.
I'm always nervous about getting fired a little bit. You know. But like I wish I'd have played it differently too. I go back to that interview a lot, and I'm like, dang, I wish I could have changed it, but I definitely will. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to interview Yin Yang Twins. I just pull up Wikipedia. I'm like, let me see something. I mean, all I know is, their songs they're like club songs that we don't even play on the station, except for occasionally. Let me check them, see if there's something new.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those artists keep dropping albums, even after, you know what I mean? Like, you like an artist from the early 2000s, they got 20 albums at this point. It's just no one's really, you know what I mean? Like, I love Redman. Redman got like 32 albums. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only know two.
He did just drop another one, though. From my understanding, he just dropped some new fire. And I'm just like,
yeah, he did. Recently.
I mean, a lot of people say it's the best. It's a lot of good ones.
But
the point is, a lot of these
like you
artists
said, look how long it's been since he's done it. So yeah. I hear that. You're right.
I get a call back in a little bit. It's like, hey, did D-Rock.
The other one.
And I was like, oh, you calling for the interview? Yeah, man, I'm calling for the interview, man. I was like, all right, cool. So I have an interview with him, and I can't understand him, and it also doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, basically, the interview go like this. All right, friends. So I see you on tour. You got any new music? Hey, man, this D-Rock, Yin Yang year round, man. We were Yin Yang all the way around the world. We were around the world, man. Yin Yang, everybody know. Yeah, we Yin Yang. And I was like, he would say stuff I wasn't even asking about. I was like, all right. And I wish I would have gone back and been like, so tell us what you think about the War of 1812, D-Rock. What do you think happened? I wish I could, but I didn't have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he has an interview with me. You really can't understand D-Rock at all. You can't understand. Like, I don't know what he's saying. Hangs up. A few minutes later, after this has been recorded, I probably have aired at this point. I don't know if I've aired it, but it's been recorded. I think it's been aired. A couple minutes later, I get a phone call. Hey, man, it's Kane. I'm ready for the interview, man. Kane. I was like, what? He's like, it's Kane. I was like, oh, man, I'm sorry. I just did an interview with D-Rock. And he goes, okay, and hung up. Kane, you couldn't understand, but D-Rock, you really couldn't understand.
Oh,
and I feel like Kane was so disappointed that D-Rock did the interview. He's like, that's a funny.
Oh man,
that's a long story about a unepic interview. Very very weak interview that I did with D-Rock.
I mean,
maybe the Yin Yang Twins will see this and try to redeem themselves on the porch.
Oh boy, we'll see about that.
Look at Kane.
Hey, look.
I
think we got a better shot to get Xavier Legette from the Carolina Panthers. I'm just saying,
bro. My man, right there, go. The Mullins, baby, that Mullins, South Carolina.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, man. I had that fool, man. It was nasty, man. I ain't like him, man. You know what I'm talking about. But Ed, can you understand what he's saying? I'm like, yes, I can understand every single solitary word about what he's saying. So on top of that, Sterling, let's talk about how you got your start in comedy. You went from doing your thing on the radio side of things to venturing into comedy. Now, how did you come about on that?
Oh man, thanks for asking, brother. So I got my start in comedy being poor. Like, yeah, you gotta have something funny, bro. Everything.
Yeah.
Like, I was poor and white. Like, I was like, man, there's not enough of me. I'm dealing with stuff that if I got other white friends, then I deal with the same stuff unless they're real redneck. And I'm like, I'm also not a redneck. I'm country, but I'm not redneck. I ain't hunting nothing against you.
Thank you. So I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people do not understand that there is a distinct difference between all of this. Just like when I had a conversation with one of my old coworkers between the conversation of being country and being Southern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
There's differences. There's levels to this, y'all. So go ahead.
Nikki, what's your opinion on Southern? When you say Southern, what do you mean by that?
You put me on the spot, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. All right, country. I eat black eyed peas. I eat smoked meats.
Okay.
Southern. I ain't eating no pig intestines, and I ain't eating no pig tails, no chicken feet, none of that. I ain't doing it.
So that's the difference. Okay.
In my opinion.
I like it.
I could be
Southern
wrong.
sound a little classy.
Yeah.
It sounds classy, but in all due reality, when I hear Southern, I'll be honest with you. What I think about is like this movie that I don't know. I think my wife turned this movie on and then left because she does it to me all the time. But it's the movie about Sally Hemings, and we all know what happened with that. That's Southern.
Which one's Sally Hemings? I'm sorry.
Yeah, refreshers real quick. I drew a
That's
blank.
Oh,
Thomas
good. I'm so glad it
Jefferson.
wasn't just
That's
me.
Thomas Jefferson. You know, one of our the former
Oh,
one of our initial
yeah.
presidents. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
the one that had the DNA controversy about the white side said, "Hey, we don't have black people in our family," and 1998 DNA test confirmed you are the father.
That old Dana. Dana
Boy,
get you
They
every time.
came
Thomas.
back and said, "Hey, y'all got to recognize all 3,200 of them black folks on that side of the family
Yes.
because Jefferson is indeed the daddy."
Yo, hey, man, Thomas was about it, bro. He was
I'm trying to
about
tell
racial
you.
relations before he
He
knew
was
he was
like, he
about
was
racial.
with all of it. He was with it. He was with it now. I ain't gonna lie. I was watching this movie like, oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
And they was, I don't even think they was in the South South.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
right below the Mexican Dixon line. They don't even count half the time.
Where's y'all at? Virginia. That's pretty close. We got to continue on with your story about how you got started.
Oh man, yeah, thank you, man. So yeah, got into comedy. I always want to be a comedian. I grew up just me and my mom, and we had we grew up in like a black neighborhood, is what I say. It basically that's just how I say it on stage, but truthfully, it's just like a road, and down the road were like different like family compounds, and it was like 2, 3 black family compounds, and then everyone else didn't have their whole family there, just had like one-off people that had their own little trailers, whatever.
Mhm.
And um, so there was, and a lot of different times I was the only white kid, and
Mhm.
sometimes there'd be white people in the neighborhood they didn't have kids. Um, and then sometimes it was white people in the kid, that it came in and out. But for a lot of time, I'd be the only one. And so when I was little, I get beat up for like being white when I was real little in the black neighborhood. And I didn't understand being called white because I had some crayons and I thought I looked more like the peach crayon. And I was like, what do you mean?
That was me as a kid. That was me as a kid.
When I was little, I was like, why?
I ain't
And
white.
then,
I'm peach.
yeah, I was like, what? I look more like this one. Um, and then my mom had this, and I don't know if y'all experienced this or experienced it to your faces, but my mom had this kind of like racism that I knew about. Like I would see a lot like from people that look like me in the South where it's like, I don't know, they have this perception, this white supremacy type of perception, but also this acknowledgement that kind of fights that perception. It's like they hold on to these things they believe, but then they respond and act in a world that doesn't hold up to these things they say.
Right.
And they'll happen all the time. And I saw this a while back where it's like, it was a question. It was a racially motivated time, or what, it was a rough time after the George Floyd stuff. It was like people, a black person would post something like, "I know, do you like black people as much as you like black culture?" And so, I grew up. My mom was disabled, was in this neighborhood, and so she loved black culture, but she kind of had like some racist ideology and stuff. But like she loved black people. We'd have black people over, and she would, her favorite, so they didn't make sense.
Mhm.
But like black jokes and stuff were like a thing. Like, and then I go outside and I get beat up for being white when I was little. So I kind of saw this like, I kind of saw racism from these different kind of perspectives.
Mhm.
These porch perspectives. No, but I saw. So I don't know. So there was something about being very early on understanding BS from different places, and I think that's for comedy. That's a really good like. You start seeing things that don't add up, or you start seeing things that people don't acknowledge, but they act in.
Mhm.
And I got to see that, a lot as a kid or whatever. So I grew up, it's poor. Life's hard, but in comedy, it's kind of like one of those things, if you can make fun of something, it's like you have a little power over it. And I think that's
Right.
kind of like the core of it. So when I was real little, mom would watch like Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and stuff. And then we watched late night shows. So like Carson, but when Arsenio came out, we watched Arsenio. That was my, Arsenio was incredible. He did a late night show, which I very much love late night TV, but he
Mhm.
did it with this style and this energy about him that has not been done previous to that. And also in a way that he would let his opinion come out early in the 90s when Johnny Carson was like the main late night guy for all these years, and he kind of was the model, and he was of the opinion of you try to hit the middle of the country, and you don't share an opinion. You have to look really close to look at Johnny Carson's political opinions. You have to get real close, and he would do certain things. And there's a documentary on Peacock about it. Like even in the early days, he was on. I think he came on. It was still segregation and stuff.
Oh,
And he would
wow.
do stuff where like the network wouldn't let him have like certain guests and stuff like that. But then he did have some power. He took his power, and so he couldn't have certain guests on. But then when he took a break, he could choose his guest host. So he had like Sidney Poitier be the guest host and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then later on, when it's like now we're in the 80s going into the 90s, he probably leaned kind of Democrat, but he would never say that. You have to like pay attention. Well, Arsenio came out, and Arsenio had an opinion. He would call things out and say things or whatever. And that was kind of new for late night. Nowadays, flash forward, opinionated late night is the dominant kind. You know what I mean? So
The way to
that's just
do it.
yeah, that's a way that Arsenio was like a trendsetter. But so we watched Arsenio a lot. So I'd watch like Conan Arsenio, and then I'd watch all these. We watched a lot of Sinbad, Eddie. I mean, we watched a lot of comedy. And I'm a kid. Like Sinbad's appropriate for your kid, but like Eddie Murphy in like Eddie Murphy Raw and stuff like that. And Richard Pryor Live from the Sunset Strip. Your 5-6-year-olds should be watching, but I was watching that stuff. And I wanted to be a comedian, man. I saw that as a little kid. It made my mom laugh. It's probably what it is. Like, I want to be a comedian, and I loved it. I would be trying to do jokes. I'd work on like kind of the rhythm when I was a little kid before I understood how to make a joke. I would just kind of like, I was like, if I say something like this, this, and this, and stop here, it kind of, so I kind of always want to do comedy, man. And then flash forward to I'm coming out of high school. It's my first year out of high school, and I hear a radio ad for a comedy competition at this club in Myrtle Beach. And I was like, let me sign up. And then I went, I got on stage. So I'm either 18 or 19. I can't remember if I'm 18 or 19 this time. I was like, let me get on stage. So I go out there, and I made a joke about the host who was sweating real bad.
Ooh.
And he looked like a preacher. You know what I mean? Like he looked like he was giving a coming to Jesus sermon. Like he was sweating so bad.
Yeah.
I made a joke off the top of my head, like something I thought about, and it killed. It was a funny joke off the top. The first time on stage, I just made a joke about the host. It was hilarious. Then I went into what I had prepared. It was terrible.
Boy.
It was so bad. It was so you think you funny. You think you funny. You get a mic in your hand, you get in front of people that don't know you. And see how funny you are. You think you funny, right? So I did it was so bad. I get off the stage. The host comes back up because that's their job. They come back up. He rips into me. He's like, look, I'm gonna teach you a lesson off the jump right now. You never make fun of the comic that comes up after you. And bro, he lit into me, and his stuff was funny. Everything he said was funny. He's like, you made that first joke was funny. You followed it up with a bunch of BS. And he just started making fun of like how I talked and whatever, all the stuff. And he did a great. It was funny. He did a great job. So I didn't get back on stage for I think another year or 2 years, and I tried the competition again. And Myrtle Beach didn't have a good comedy community at the time, a comedy scene, and so I wouldn't try, but here and there, 2 times a year or something. And then my buddy went to Florida, and he's like, yo, you want to come down here and live with me? There's more comedy. I was like, yeah, I'll go down there. I was his roommate in Orlando, and I was like, I'm going to try to do comedy. And then I had to work at night, a job at night, so I never went out for comedy. And then I got this opportunity on the radio back in Myrtle, so I moved back to Myrtle, and I was doing the radio, and sometimes I would do events and stuff, and I would try to do some comedy when I was hosting the events, like little jokes here and there. And then when I came to Christ, I started doing church stuff. I would do little jokes when I was hosting church events and stuff. And then, and so, but about 2017, I realized I was like, oh, I'm never going to make it as a stand-up comedian if I don't focus on becoming if I don't get good, you know what I mean? I can't just be funny every once in a while. So
right.
since 2017, I've been more consistent with comedy. The year of the pandemic, I didn't do really much stand up. And then this past year, things changed. I've had to work in a lot of night too, so I haven't done a lot of stand up. And I got a little rust on me right now, but I'm still do shows and stuff when I can. So, and we're working on stuff now. But anyway, that's kind of like how I got into it, Eddie.
All right. So speaking of that, man, wow, thanks for sharing that story with us, man. Speaking of the different scenes, you talked about the Myrtle Beach comedy scene, whatever there is, and then the comedy scene in Florida. What's your favorite scene to be a part of? Like where you lived? Because I know you moved around several times, during the last, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, man, I bounced around. So I didn't really connect with the one in Florida. We tried, but I was young. I didn't know. I didn't go out that much. I lived in Atlanta, and I started getting to the scene in Atlanta, and then
yes, talk about that. Yeah, talk about that.
I'm about to say Atlanta, where it's at. No, that's what everybody say. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I do not like Atlanta. I don't like Atlanta. I don't love nothing about Atlanta. If you listen from Atlanta, you might just want to listen to another episode of Porch Perspective. Anyway, but like I listen.
Or just fast forward real quick.
Yeah, fast forward this part. I don't love Atlanta, but the comedy scene was kind of endearing. I didn't get that far into it because I started going to shows. Then the pandemic happened. So I didn't. We weren't doing a lot of shows and stuff. So, but it was real interesting because I'd come from the Charlotte scene. The Charlotte scene, I think, is a pretty healthy comedy scene, in my experience. There's probably a lot better ones and a lot of worse ones, but my experience of Charlotte is pretty good. I really enjoyed my time in Charlotte. I miss being there. I wish I was in the scene right now. I miss Charlotte a lot. So anyway, we go to Atlanta. I'm coming from Charlotte, where it's like it's just different. And I get to Atlanta, and Atlanta's scene is like this. So you go to open mics, that's where you're trying out your jokes. Even if you're a seasoned professional, you go to open mics sometimes because you got to try out new material and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go to real shows. Either way, but I would do a show, and there would be like other comics that are about to go out, and they would just be roasting the comic on stage, just like talking mad trash about that person, which is not something I experienced because comedy is hard as hell to do. So I respect anybody that gets up, even if they're terrible, like because public speaking is scarier than death to most people. Like they did a poll. It said people would rather die than speak in public. So if you have the talent, ability to speak in public, that's a lot. I mean, that's really big. So I give it up for anybody who's trying it. You know what I mean? I give them respect. And so Atlanta wasn't like that. They wasn't respected. They was hating. And my favorite thing about it is the dudes that was hating on the comic on stage, like roasting them, trying to say they're not funny. They get up on stage, they would bomb. I'd be like, shut up, bro. How you go? You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of here with that.
Yeah.
You go talk all that smack, and then you also terrible. You know what I mean? Which in comedy, you can't make jokes. You can't punch down. That's a comedy rule. You don't punch down. You don't make fun of something lower than you. You should be the joke. You should be the foil a lot. When you're doing comedy, your comedy should show that you are the one that's wrong or messed up, and then people in the audience can relate. They're like, oh yeah, I also do that thing you're talking about, or I also hate that thing you're talking about, or whatever. So it's okay to have some comedy about whatever, but you don't want to always you don't want to punch down. You don't want to talk about other people. Like if you do crowd work, you want to have fun with the audience. You don't want to punch down. You don't want to make fun of the audience,
Right.
So Atlanta wasn't like that as much. It was, but it was cool. I mean, it was cool. I liked it. Personally, I had a lot of wild times in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's crazy.
Ooh, yeah. No. I lived there. I lived there for 2 years, and like I said, I'm glad it was 2 years. I don't know if I could have.
Would you want to go back, Eddie? Cool.
I'm all right. I'm good. Why? Because I don't. The thing is like this. I enjoy Atlanta. I will say that. What I don't enjoy is having to plan my life around the traffic pattern there.
Mm-hmm.
Heard about it.
Yeah. Not a fan of it. Like having to be to work at 11, but got to leave at like 10 o'clock that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to leave work. You got to leave work 10 o'clock on Tuesday night just to get to work at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Like this can't be life, man.
No.
You know me. You know me. I'm a country boy. Give me some back roads, man, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Big parts.
Atlanta, my thing is the traffic was terrible, but honestly, Orlando's traffic was terrible too. I live in Myrtle Beach right now. Myrtle Beach traffic can be terrible, whatever. But Atlanta, the traffic was real bad. But For me, it's all the casual gun violence and how rude everybody was. So I lived in this neighborhood that was, I think it was being gentrified maybe, but these apartments were real nice that we lived in. And well, for the area, they were real nice and like the rent was high and stuff. And there was 5 shootings in the apartment buildings in that apartment complex in 2 years. There was 5 shootings in 2 years. And I would tell my Atlanta friends those 5 shootings in 2 years, and they'd be like, only 5? Yo, can I apply? How do I apply for the, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how, I don't care what statistic you hear about dangerous cities and stuff.
Yeah.
I promise you, Atlanta got more gun violence than anywhere you're gonna hear about. Because here's the thing, that stuff's not getting reported. You hear some stuff pop off next to you, and like only if cops respond to it, are you gonna possibly hear about it. There was a $55,000 drug bust by our neighbors and stuff. We used to sit out during the pandemic and watch some neighbors of ours, and they was definitely trapping, but what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? We just
stay out the way, mind business. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell, But then, so not them, but a couple doors down, they got busted for all this stuff, and then like you drive and see cars on fire and stuff. Like I'm gonna tell you, Atlanta's wild, man.
Yeah, see, that's
I got a lot of, and the other thing is people just be rude in Atlanta, like customer service. Like you go somewhere and like try to get like fast food or something, they rude as hell. They so rude. Like I hated that. That's the thing I hated the most. Like we moved from Atlanta and went back to North Carolina, and everybody's, hey honey, what you need, sugar? I was like, oh my
yes.
God.
Let me tell you a story about that. So my daughter moved from Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
She's never encountered Southern hospitality in her life, other than what I do. So she joined the Army, and she was stationed out in Virginia. So she was like, hey, look, I'm flying out to the East Coast. Okay, cool. She's like, I said, just let me know when you get there, all that good stuff. She goes, listen, she said, I was on the plane when we touched down to Virginia. She's like, oh my God, I love them here. So what do you mean? She's like, the Southern hospitality is real. They're calling me, husband. Oh my goodness, thank you for service, sweetheart. And everything is a hun, sweetheart, or baby. I said, I know that's right.
Yeah, I know that's right.
But she definitely, see, there you go.
I tell people, I said, look, you go down south, you'll get honey, baby, sweet, darling, to death.
Yes.
I mean, they're nice up here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, no, because
I'm about to say, wait a minute, you just made a face.
No, because
you did make the face.
Okay, I'm
gonna tell you what happened a few nights ago. So I was at the store, right? And this dude, he comes walking. I'm walking out the store. I hold the door open. He doesn't even look at me. Walks in. He doesn't say thank you. I look back at him. I go, "You're welcome." And I keep going on about my business. It's just like, come on, bro. Like I'm like, I said, people don't appreciate nothing. Usually, sometimes I'll be like, if I get like a bad tip at work, I'll be like, I bet I see you on the side of 480 with a flat tire. I'm gonna go like, I wish I could help you, but I don't have the money to help you. Yeah. I try not to be rude because I'm a nice guy. That's
ain't got the funds for that.
Huh?
So I ain't got the funds for. I would have helped you, but I ain't got the funds for it.
Yeah, I
ain't got enough gas. Nobody tipped me enough to get no gas. So
yeah, that little $9 you would have given me that one more dollar, had $10. Yeah, I have you turn the wrench and put the tire back on for me, and I'm gonna charge you $13.95. All right. So you told us about living in Atlanta, living in Florida.
I got so much Atlanta material. Don't get me I'm saying I had to pull it back. I was like, let me just stop, man. This podcast only so long. I got so much Atlanta material, dude.
Yeah.
That is crazy, dude.
And if you want to give it to if you want to put it out on the porch, then put it out on the porch. I'm not opposed to.
Well, I want to see what. Dude,
hey, push come to shove, man. We'll have you back on, man. This is already not going to be your last time here. Porch. Yep. So a few years ago, I was a guest on Sterling's late night YouTube program, television show. They did something like that. Yeah, late night program. Like yeah, something like we're gonna call it late night, something like that, right? But it was very fun.
Show, yeah,
late night show, Night Bright, on Night Bright TV on YouTube. Tell us how that came about.
Oh yeah, I was like, man, who is the best guest I could possibly get? Oh, I know, Eddie. And so I reached out to Eddie Cool, and Yeah, I always liked late night, and the pandemic was happening, and we couldn't go nowhere. What I did for work was I did comedy and I did waiting tables, and pandemic happened. What I'm gonna do for work? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, because everything was closed, bars and restaurants and clubs and stuff was all closed. So, excuse me, I started the late night show on Facebook Live. I called it Live from Lockdown. And so the first few nights
I
that
remember that.
everything was shut down, I was doing like late night jokes. I started with a monologue. I was doing little bits. I was interviewing my pets and my family and like little stuffed animals. I was just being dumb, just trying to, because I always loved, since I was a kid, I always want to be a stand-up comic. I always wanted to host my own late night show, like the Tonight Show. And so I was doing that. And then the next year, I started doing these Zoom corporate team buildings because so 21 happens and not a lot of people have returned to work yet. And so they're having to like make these meetings and stuff, matter and stuff. So I started Bright Entertainment. And that's what Bright Entertainment is we would do team building for all kind of organizations. And I created a game show and all this stuff. And I utilized Zoom in the backgrounds to make these virtual environments. And I was thinking, since I was doing this for money, I was doing this for corporations. I did it for like all these companies you heard of, like Google and Amazon and Capital One and all these people. I was like, yo, I can use the same idea, but make my own late night show. I have a virtual environment. So I made like a virtual set. And then I had done a show with one of these team buildings for another comic who was putting it together. I did game show, and she had this other entertainer come and do like some improvised jazz music on the piano in her little setup. And that person there was Mona Lisa Music. She's an artist out of Charlotte, very talented, and she's great. And I was like, yo,
Shout out to Mona Lisa.
shout out Mona Lisa Music. And today's her birthday. Right now, today's her
It
birthday.
is. Yes, I saw that. Yes. Happy
Happy
belated
birthday,
birthday,
Mona
Mona
Lisa.
Lisa.
Happy birthday, Mona Lisa. Anyway, so I was like, I'd only done one show with Mona Lisa, a virtual show too. So I never met this woman in real life at all. But I was like, I hit her up. I'm like, hey, do you want to be the music side of this late night show? Because I can't do nothing music. I can't do nothing. I want to be a rapper. But then I guess in order to be a rapper, you have to stay on beat. I guess that's something they want. I don't know why.
Pause and pause. Can I speak on it real quick?
Yes, you can. Now I'm just like,
no, you don't, because ever since 2020, half of these rappers don't know. They couldn't catch a beat if you threw it at them.
woo, golly.
I'm gonna say that because there's a few of them that I really cannot stand, and one of them in particular. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't even care because at this point, it is what it is. The gloves are off. I'm not gonna say his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, he has got to be one of the worst rappers I've ever heard in my life. And for you to land a feature with Cardi B, how did that happen?
Nah, I want to know what you talking about.
I want to know, like, who all got features with Cardi B? Hold on, bro.
I put it like this. I'm gonna just put it like this. And it ain't even no biggie because at the end of the day, come on the porch if you want to. Come on the porch if you want to. I'm just saying. I put it like this. His name is synonymous to a $100 bill.
I don't know.
Drawing blanks.
Drawing blanks.
Franklin.
Okay, let me give you a different one. Let me give you another one.
Button. I don't know.
No. So no, it's actually no. I'm talking about Blueface. Rap the same as life.
Oh, Blueface.
Bruh, come on now. And then how you land a feature with Cardi B? Bro, you couldn't ride the beat. Apparently, if you were paid to do it.
It's the industry. You know how it is.
And it is. Like, y'all hype up the dumbest. Like we talk about the Yin Yang Twins. I would give them credit with saying they were probably the first mumble rappers. I don't know. Because I don't recall too much of their music that I really understood, me personally. And I could be wrong, but I know the only song that I ever really understood what they were saying on was when they dropped the Whisper song.
Yeah.
And even that, I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you the whole song top to bottom what they said. I just know the chorus.
They told him to slow down. Don't even talk hard. Just whisper and
Well, no,
watch.
they had a couple of songs that you could actually understand them, but
Yeah.
like their earlier stuff, like I wasn't listening to that. Like there's so much. Sterling, I think we need to revamp your rap career.
Yeah. No, you don't.
I'm
Not if
just
you heard it, Fred. Not if you heard it. Eddie, look at Eddie. Said, no. I wish. I wish,
Yeah.
but no, bro.
Hey, we can give it a shot. I'm just, drop a single for us.
Woo.
Yeah, Sterling. So
Oh.
back, Mona Lisa was doing the music section of the program,
So
and you were. Matter of fact, I'll say this though. When
Yeah.
Sterling called me. He's like, "Man, what you doing?" I was like, "Nothing." He said, "How you feel about being a guest on my show?" And I was like, "Let me check it out." I'm always, what did I say about opportunities earlier, Miss Sneaky Red? In the words of Avant, don't say no, just say yes. Avant, don't come in, because eventually he gonna want to check. So anyways,
Sorry, go ahead.
so I was like, okay, I'll go ahead. I was like, I'll go ahead and do it. And Stone was like, you know what, man, you were the first guest in the history of this program to perform as a character, to perform in the music section, and also to perform as and also, to have an interview. And I was like, man, I killed 3 birds with 1 stone. And I'll say this though, like I really enjoyed my time. I showed my friend this the other night. They was like, so tell me a little bit about you. Let me introduce you to the spam and spaghetti story. How about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's Mona Lisa one had a spam and spaghetti story, bro. You was a character, and she was like, "I don't care if you play the character or not." She wasn't having to.
Hey, but I still told it though.
Yeah.
In character, but then if I got a character, she let me alone. She had to leave me alone because the story was good. Mona Lisa don't squash the
Stay in
story.
Germany.
Yeah,
You can go back and see that if you ever think. But yeah, it's funny. We would have a character. We'd have somebody come out as a character, and then we'd have the main guest. The main guest would be a performer, and they would perform something, and then we'd sit down and talk afterwards. And so I had Eddie for that, and I was like, yo, you probably do something funny, And so we had him do it his stay in Germany. So he was the first person to ever do all 3. And I think, yeah, I had one other person do that. Yeah, I think one, but 1 or 2 maybe, but he was definitely the first one. It was good too.
I said, hold on, Sterling. Let me grab my do-rag. Let me grab my dark shades. Let me grab my background real quick. Let me grab this my dark liquor, and let's have some fun. That I swear, man, yeah, that episode was real fun, and some of the other episodes were fun as well too. So when you founded, like when you founded Bright Entertainment, you was like, you know what? I'm tired of working for somebody. I want to work for myself, because I'm pretty sure, with all of us here, that's the eventual goal, is to work for us and not for someone else. So, tell us a little bit about the ups and the, tell
Being
us.
an entrepreneur.
Well, not that. We kind of know how that is. Just kind of tell us like some of your favorite moments at this point with your business.
Okay, yeah. So my favorite moments is money. When that was happening, that's what I like the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've gotten to I created these games that we play, like game shows, and I've had like CEOs play them and things like that. And I got to do events for YouTube and for Facebook and Nike and Victoria's Secret, all these people, and it's cool. And so I think some of the coolest moments that, and then I get all these reviews too. So the way the way it was working is I was providing a service, and then I built a marketplace for that service that no one used. So I also took my services and put them on other marketplaces that were used. Right. And so when you do that, though, when you're the vendor, they take a cut, you know what I mean? But the revenue I get from them taking a cut is a lot more than the $0 I'm getting from my own marketplace. And I think it took me a few years and my business really tanking for me to really see the problems that I was doing, because I was making crazy money. For me, I don't know, maybe y'all are millionaires, but for me, I was making crazy money.
Where you see a millionaire at? A future millionaire, yes, but what, as of right now, millionaire? Well, you hold on. Well, you
Yeah.
This is Porch perspectives, not
hello.
house perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
So
said, we sitting on the porch. Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I was, dude, we was doing like, I mean, we was doing six figures in business, you know what I mean? And like,
Mm.
and this crazy revenue coming in, and you know, my overhead was relatively low, um, and you know, our lifestyle changed a little bit, and it was good. And I was for the first time really making a living off of entertainment only. I wasn't like having to wait tables or having to do DoorDash or something. You know, I was just, you know, that's all I did, and I loved it. And man, I didn't. So we provided this team building for companies that had to be remote,
Mhm.
and we offered in person and hybrid options, but they never took off. And so what happened was the big tech crash. You know, last year before, they started laying off all these like Google and Meta and Amazon started laying off its people, and that the whole industry started laying off. Most of our clients are tech companies. And so they laying off everybody. They cutting budgets for like what we provided, like team building. They cutting budgets for that. And then what happened was when the pandemic happened, there was already a marketplace, there's already industry for team building for corporations, and there's a few big people in that industry, like the Walmart and the Targets of that industry. Well, for whatever reason, they weren't quick enough to jump on the new way of doing work, which is remote work, and how to provide their services for remote. So it left the door open for people like me, the little mom and pops, to come in there and do like provide some similar services, but they're remote. So what had happened was we got we were chipping away at their money, essentially. Like I was taking money from these big people, these Walmarts and Targets of that industry. And when people started going back to work, they were already positioned to take that business back, because like we had to create, in the same way that they weren't positioned to create a remote engagement, and people just that had remote engagement could just take over real quick before they could transition. In the same way, I couldn't transition to in person as quick, as they already had an established model, and they've already got all the clients and all that stuff. And then those people didn't. I tried to work with the big people, and they weren't interested in me. And I think partly it was like, yeah, because I took a little bit of your money. You probably didn't want to, you know.
Yeah.
So we don't right now. I do offer the team building and stuff, but it's really down a lot. So it's not I had to work other jobs and stuff, and I don't have it. But for about 2-3 years, I mean, I was full-time entertainer, and that was an incredible time to be able to do that. But then the last year and a half was real stressful, because you know I might get thousands of dollars for a gig, but then the next one don't pay on time, and it'd be a long time before you get more money. You know what I mean? It just it's hard to do that. But so yeah, I mean, right now I have a different, you know, we transitioned, we pivoted, if you will, and we're doing something different right now. But yeah, so Bright Entertainment, really fun. I still offer the team building. I still have some clients that still book me, which is really cool. And right now, that's just extra money and stuff. It's good. It's good when I get them. I'm happy for them. There's an opportunity to increase that business a little bit, and I might end up doing that, increasing that team building business. But for right now, it's just a little extra, and I got a new thing I'm working on. So yeah, thanks for asking about that. Being your own boss is really cool, and we had like a Gatsby year, we call it. We had like 1 year where we was living high on the hog for a minute there. Thought it was gonna be our life. It wasn't our life. It was 1 year. Be prepared. You get your first little bit of money. Hold on to that money. Pay your taxes right. Don't think it's your lifestyle. You gotta know, bro. You gotta keep
handle
it.
business.
Yes.
Yeah. You right about, boy. I think that's what like a lot of people, you know, go wrong when they don't pay them doggone taxes, because
that too. Yeah.
They'll get you. They'll get you when least expected. But
Lecrae says, I only fear the IRS and God. I was like, there it is.
Yeah, he right. Yeah, he right about that. Yeah.
At this point, but I don't know, man. At this point, you know, they're getting rid of the alphabet, folks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
I don't either. That's literally been my stance on everything right now. All right, we'll see.
Yeah, all right, we'll see.
What'll happen.
We're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna get rid of that. All right. Well, All right.
FBI, IRS, Department of Education, Department of this, Department of that. I was like, we really getting all. You ready to tell me you gonna go ahead and shut all these establishments down, and then what?
Then we'll be a weaker country, ready for somebody to take us.
That's it. We're gonna be a sitting duck.
Yep.
Because who gonna take us? You know, it's a matter of delegation for me. That's all it is. I ain't gonna get into it, I promise. But it's just a matter of delegation.
I mean, it's your porch. What you want to talk about? That's your porch. Tell me you ain't gonna get into it. What y'all talking about?
That's the best thing about having. That's the best thing about having your own platform that's owned and operated by you. Can't nobody tell you what to do on your own property.
It wasn't so much as anybody telling me what to do per se. It's just, being considerate of, our guest time and my co-host and his timing. He tries to keep me on a strict schedule because he knows where we be going sometimes. Sometimes we be clear around down the corner at the neighbor house, and he got to do exactly that. He got to go.
Reeling it back.
Yeah.
You got a live one. You got a live one.
Look, stand on the porch like how your mama and your grandma used to stand on the porch with their hands on their hips and hollering your name clear across the neighborhood.
Yeah. You better come home. Where you at? You better bring your behind home. All right. With that being said, Sterling, man, before we go, let's talk about the name Sterling Thrill. I know you by your government name, which I'm not gonna say, but
you can say it because it's part of the story anyway.
Okay, Sterling Hill, ladies and gentlemen, Sterling Hill. But how did Sterling Hill become Sterling Thrill?
Man, I appreciate you.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What?
What you said, Nikki?
I say that's obvious.
I know. Well, it sounds obvious, right?
It does. But go ahead. We would like to hear your story.
No, you all right. So I'm in radio. And they want us to get Twitter accounts. Twitter had just come out. That's going to date me how long ago I was in radio. But Twitter had come out. They're like, you need a Twitter account. I'm like, all right, well, they already got a Sterling Hill on there. I was like, well, what am I be? And I was like, oh, I'll do Sterling Thrill because I remember I had his teacher back in 8th grade. And he would call me the Thrill. He'd be like, Sterling, the Thrill Hill. He called me the Thrill. And I was like, oh, man, that's he's the only one that ever called me that. But I was like, all right, bet. So I was Sterling Thrill. And then years later, when I decided to pursue comedy correctly, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do comedy at Sterling Thrill because I have it on every social media, and you can find me on anything easily. It's Sterling Thrill. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm on there. Sterling Thrill. Even Venmo and Cash App. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but point is Sterling Thrill on anything, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, let me just do that. I'll do comedy as that. Also, like the name Thrill is cool. So now here's the funny part of the story. Years later, I'm already doing comedy and stuff. I run into that teacher. Now, that's an 8th grade teacher. I obviously don't look the same as I do in 8th grade. I ain't got no hair. You know what I mean? Like, I look a little different than I did in 8th grade. I was like, yo, Mr. So-and-so, it's me. Do you remember me? And I know he's not going to necessarily, because I'm an adult, man, I ain't got no hair. He's like, trying to figure it out. I'm like, it's me. Come on. It's the Thrill. It's the Thrill. And he's like, James? I was like, no, man. It's the Thrill. He's like, Steven? I was like, no, man, come on, man. It's the Thrill. He's like, Sarah? I was like, man, that's not even a dude's name, man. Come on, bro. Turns out this dude had just called every kid that came through his class with the last name Hill. He just called him the Thrill. Doesn't matter what your name was. Every kid was just the Thrill. And so I was like,
oh, that's so disrespectful.
Thinking it was something special.
That's so disrespectful.
Yeah, so much for uniqueness and something special. God,
no,
man.
Bro. It just rhymed. He just called me something that rhymed, bro. That's it. He's like, I taught English.
And you know what? That sounds like I'm gonna drop you with this one real quick. This is funny. At least I think it's funny. I don't know who else might think it's funny, but I found it funny. So that reminds me of a situation with, again, my daughter, because my daughter is absolute comedy to me. Something is wrong with her. Yeah. Promise, I did not drop her as a baby, but she might have fallen at a time or two.
Get up off the floor. Oh, you can't. I'm sorry. Come on.
Yeah, she just rolled. But so yeah, we just had I have another niece now. Shout out to my youngest brother. He just had his little girl a couple months ago, and my daughter calls me and she goes, you need to talk to your brothers. Mind you, I've got 3 brothers. Like, what's going on? She was like, I'm just saying, can we get a little bit more original with the names? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, take you for instance. You've got an Ariana, you have Jordan. But then you got your 3 brothers. Ryan's the oldest. Daughter's name is Mia. John is the middle one. His oldest, her name is Leah. And then I've got my youngest brother that just had welcomed his beautiful bundle of joy, and her name is Aaliyah. He said, she said, why do I have 3 cousins with similar names? Why your brothers are not creative? So I'm
Yeah,
like,
man,
hey,
you gonna have somebody gonna have a
name
kid. No, somebody gonna have a kid, and the kid not gonna be right, and they're gonna call it Kia.
Yeah.
That's next.
After the
That's
doggone
next.
car.
I'm gonna tell they're not allowed to name any more girls. I swear they're not, because it's
No.
like if everybody that walked through his classroom with the last name Hill, and that's a very popular name.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all the Thrill Hill.
Yeah,
I don't know what he did when he had 2 Hills in the same class. Thrill 1, Thrill 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thriller.
And Chill. Yeah, Thriller. I like you better.
Yeah. I'm a add an ER to you and call you Thriller. Man, come on, man. Man, come on.
Hit him with that hard R. No, it's Thriller. It's Thriller.
Thriller. All that. Sterling, man, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Porch Perspectives podcast.
Yeah.
Before you get up out of there, man, let everybody know where they can find your content, because you need it in your life. You need it. I'm telling you, you do.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're working on content. That's my new thing. I'm gonna be a little content creator. I went viral last year off of 2 videos, and it didn't really change my life. I got a lot of followers, but then it kind of stopped. And this year, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna really push into this thing. So we're going viral on TikTok right now. Went from 2,000 to over 30,000 followers on TikTok in the last month. We just steady putting out content. It's Sterling Thrill on anything, and then right now, because of what went viral, is these videos where I'm telling people they can't have these animals. So it's mostly a female audience that I got, but we're still making content for everybody. And we're doing like reaction stuff. We're just doing just like funny bits and stuff. And then also my stand-up, you can see little clips of stand-up on there. And then the website just got updated, sterlingthrill.com, and you can go in there and learn a little bit more about me, see what I'm doing. Show you actually request a show. So if you hear and you're like, I'm in Ohio, or I'm listening from Guam or so, I don't know, you can request a show at a city near you.
Said Guam.
Yeah, wherever. I don't know. It's worldwide, baby. Just like you, twin. Worldwide, baby.
We global.
Call that a callback. Sterlingthrill.com/next, and you can tell me where to come next. What city to come do comedy at. So, but yeah, I appreciate
get you to come to Raleigh one day, maybe, possibly. Sure.
Oh, I was in Raleigh not too long ago, but yeah, I'll definitely go back. I'll be in Raleigh, man. I was at the what's that comedy club in Raleigh? It's
you don't know they ain't paying us either.
They paid you. Well, I mean, for me though, I need them to book me again. Good nights. Good nights.
They have a lot of they have a lot of events out there. I'm actually I'm working on trying to get out there and go check some stuff out, but I have not had the pleasure to be there yet. I'm definitely gonna look into it.
Nikki, next time I'm in Raleigh, I'm gonna tell you where to buy tickets, because I ain't got nothing free. But I'll tell you. No, I'm just playing, Nikki. But next time I'm in Raleigh,
next time you're in Raleigh, just let me know, and I'm pulling up. I'm media. Media passes and everything. Don't play with me.
I'm gonna get his pass. Yes, exactly. No, but I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm in Raleigh. And then what part of Ohio, Eddie? Where you at? In Columbus?
No, right outside of Cleveland.
Okay.
So that would be, is it the Improv? That would be the Improv.
There you go. Yeah, I gotta get on with it. I ain't never done no improvs before. No, I did back in the day. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so I'm gonna definitely get up to Ohio. I haven't done comedy in Ohio, so I need to get up there and see what's funny in Ohio.
Yeah, you got 3 big cities. You got in the south you got Cincinnati. Right in the middle of the state, you got Columbus, and up north by the lake, you have Cleveland. You know, if you look at it from a map, it's kind of like it's like a diagonal path. Like you take the highways and you get there. But it's definitely worth checking out, man.
I ain't looking at no map.
Niggas ain't looking at no map.
I ain't looking at no map right now. You know where it's at.
I guess I'm the only weirdo then. So excuse me.
No. Listen, if maps is your thing, then you can have the maps, because I'm a history. Like I sit here and watch a documentary I do documentary marathons. So hey, we all have our little quirks. It's okay. Ain't nothing wrong
Yeah,
with it.
you're the one
I
watching
just
the Thomas Jefferson documentary, right?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's still on. But I ain't gonna tell you about the
Oh
Krispy
man.
Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts documentary I watched the other day.
There's a Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts stuff. Send me the link. Send me the link.
Hey,
And with
right now.
It was on the History Channel. Let me tell you about it. Y'all better get up on y'all History Channel. Come on now. Y'all know we that age.
Dunkin', dang, she out of sky. All right, Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme.
But that's not even an argument to
man,
have.
Krispy Kreme, man, Krispy Kreme, Krispy Kreme.
Hands down. Hands down.
Hands down.
Dunkin'
No,
Donuts.
no.
First of all, why are they even still in business? I'm sorry.
Well,
Unless they want to sponsor the show. Never.
Well, the thing about Dunkin' is based out of it's a New England brand.
Massachusetts.
Man, it's a New England brand. So I mean, the way you see Krispy Kremes on every corner with a hot light on in the South is the same way you see
It's
Dunkin'
innovation.
Donuts. And the same thing too. The funny thing about it is, somebody told me there's a Krispy Kreme up here in Ohio somewhere. There's a Waffle House up in Ohio somewhere, and somebody said there's a Hardee's and a Bojangles up there. And I'm like, all right, it's time to go on a food road trip and be like the guy sitting in the car eating food. So you know,
they got a cookout up there.
No, they gonna never have that.
I spent all that time in Vegas, and I told you when they first look, I was beyond livid. When I first got to Vegas, back to Vegas in 14, 15, whatever year it was, there were no Chick-fil-A's in Vegas. Yeah, that part. So they finally put a Chick-fil-A in Vegas, I think in 2016, 2017. And I mean, I was ecstatic. I was like, I just want to go get a salad. So then I'm like, you know what? Vegas would be doing the thing if they put a Waffle House out here, which I know that would never happen. Vegas ain't got no Waffle House. They don't have no what did you say a minute ago, Eddie?
Hardee's.
No, they have Carl's Jr.
That Carl Jr.
That got caught. Yeah.
Was it Krispy Kreme? What was the other one? Cookout, Bojangles.
I've not seen a Krispy Kreme out there. Now they sell Krispy Kreme donuts, of course, because it's corporate or whatever now. But I ain't seen no Krispy Kreme out there.
I used to be I love sweet tea. I still do, but I used to be real extra about it. And I noticed that if you go south of, like in Florida, if you go south of Tampa, there's not really sweet tea. In the middle of the country, you go west of like East Texas,
Mississippi River.
You get no, they got it in Louisiana, they got it in Texas and stuff, but like only about halfway of Texas. Once you pass Dallas, it's
sweet tea.
They ain't got nothing. And we did a long road trip one time, and I was over there, and I flew back though. I was in LA for a couple days, and then I flew back, and I ain't had no tea, like no real tea or nothing. And when I flew into Charlotte, North Carolina, and in that airport, there was a Bojangles.
Bojangles, I know it.
Oh my gosh, my soul! I was like, thank you, Lord, thank you, gosh. They didn't have the little buffalo bites, so I was annoyed at that. But they did have tea. They did have chicken tenders.
They don't even have Bojangles out west.
I know they ain't got no.
We did I think we had this conversation with our other host Charlie when we talked about the sweet tea, and she was livid about the sweet tea, because if out west, if you ask for sweet tea, they're not gonna bring you no sweet tea. They're gonna bring you a glass of tea unsweetened and some packets of sugar. And we said, first of all, how does this work? Okay, you iced tea and sugar packets. That ain't gonna melt. It's not gonna dissolve. It's like sand in your tea.
Like, man, y'all can't make no simple syrup, man. Y'all can't turn the pot on hot and throw sugar in there. Come on, simple syrup ain't that hard to make. It ain't that hard to make.
One time, bro. I used to date a girl, and she would pay for everything because she's a little rich girl. She had all the money and stuff. We went to this place in like the Florida Keys or something, and they had no sweet tea. And I was just really need some sweet tea. It was a nice restaurant too. And I was like, all right, look, bring me an unsweetened tea with no ice. Bring me a glass of ice. Bring me a glass with the hot water from the coffee maker. Bring me a bunch of sugar. I sure did. I mixed all that stuff. I made my own tea, and I poured it over the ice. I made my own tea and everything. And then I looked at my girlfriend at the time. I was like, "All right, you had to tip her really well because I made her do all that stuff. I could drink
extra."
Yeah. But it be like that sometimes, and you can't even be. Look, if I was if I was waiting your table, I would have had to give you all the props, because first of all, this man is innovative. He done sat at our restaurant and made himself at home.
Like, y'all ain't gonna tell me I ain't got no sweet tea, man. I make some simple syrup right here at the table.
And then I get mad going out in public now, because I'm like, I don't know what has changed with times, but if I go to a known place for their sweet tea, why the tea taste like that? Everybody knows Popeye's tea is sweet. It's extra
Yes.
sweet. I went to go to Popeyes and got some sweet tea because that's all I drink with everything else. Anyway, as for a sweet tea, they gave me the tea. I took one sip and I threw it out in front of them. I didn't care. I was still in drive-thru. I didn't care. Make me another one. What's wrong? It's not sweet. Who made the tea? Who made the tea? That's who I need to see right now. Bring him to the window.
Especially when you talk about, hey, I'll take a sweet tea if you have it. Okay. I took one sip of that tea. I was like, bruh, go over there and get me some sugar packets.
You got to ask. Well, we get to the point now where we ask in drive-thru, we'll ask them, how's the sweet tea? Oh, I don't drink the sweet tea. Well, who made it? What do you mean who made the sweet tea? What's her name? Yeah, what's her name?
Yeah.
If you can't answer that question, then don't worry about it. All right, with that being said, Sterling Thrill, thank you for coming out on a virtual porch, hanging out with us tonight, man. We greatly appreciate it, man. And this ain't gonna be your last time. Come back, man. Please come back, man. Please come back.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you much, Nikki Red. I appreciate y'all so much for having me on the porch.
Being here. Yes, yes, and yes. And we will definitely be having you again.
That's right. Check them out.
Thank y'all so much.
For all your comedic needs, check them out. SterlingThrill.com. Sterling Thrill on everything. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Be a blessing, not a burden. See you next time on the porch.